more than $8 billion. That's what Boeing's defense division has burned on fixed-price programs in just a few years. The 737 MAX nearly destroyed the company's name. Air Force One bled money. The KC-46 tanker bled money. And then the Pentagon did the one thing almost nobody saw coming. It handed that company the most important fighter contract in 50 years, the F-47. America's first sixth-generation fighter now rides on the back of the most troubled aerospace giant in the country. This isn't just a jet program, it's a bet-the-company gamble, and the clock is already running. Let's start with something that shouldn't make sense. In March 2025, the United States Air Force chose the company to build its most advanced fighter in history, not Lockheed Martin, the firm behind the F-22 and the F-35. It chose Boeing, a company that, at that exact moment, was one of the most troubled industrial giants in America. This isn't a video about how fast the F-47 flies or how stealthy it is. We've covered that. This is about what the spec sheets never show you. The company behind the jet, the crisis it's buried in, and the gamble it just made with its own survival. Because for Boeing, the F-47 isn't a contract, it's a lifeline. Here's the tension running through this entire story. Boeing has spent years losing billions on the exact kind of government programs it promised to deliver. Its name has been dragged through crash investigations and quality scandals, and now it holds the single most important and least forgiving defense program of the next 30 years. Deliver and Boeing reclaims its throne as America's top fighter maker. Stumble, and it may never build a frontline fighter again. So over the next 20 minutes, we follow the money and the stakes. The crisis that nearly sank Boeing. The upset win nobody predicted. Why this one jet is life or death for an entire half of the company. And the two clocks now ticking against it at the same time. By the end, you'll understand why insiders call the F-47 the biggest bet in modern aerospace. Let's start with how bad it actually got. To understand the gamble, you have to understand how deep the hole was. Start with the number from the open. More than $8 billion. That's the scale of losses Boeing's defense unit has swallowed on a handful of fixed-price programs, not over decades. In just a few years, run the list: the KC-46 Pegasus tanker, billions in overruns Boeing had to eat. The T-7, a Red Hawk trainer, delayed, over budget, bleeding cash. The new Air Force One, the VC-25B, a fixed-price deal that became a multi-billion-dollar wound. The MQ-25 drone, even the Starliner spacecraft stranded in the headlines, program after program, the same story. Promise a price, miss it, pay the difference. Then there's the part everyone knows, the 737 MAX. 2 crashes that killed 346 people, a worldwide grounding. And years later, a door plug that tore off a jet in midair, reopening every question about Boeing's quality and its culture. The most trusted name in American aviation had become a cautionary tale. By 2024, the bleeding was bad enough that the board brought in a new chief executive from outside to stop it. A turnaround specialist handed the job of saving a national institution. Boeing was slashing costs, raising cash, and fighting just to convince Washington it could still be trusted with anything, let alone the crown jewel of air power. So here's the first retention hook. Put yourself in the chair of an Air Force decision tells you something crucial about the jet itself. On March 21, 2025, the announcement came from the White House. Boeing had won NGAD. Lockheed Martin was out. For the company that built the F-22 and the F-35, the 2 best fighters America owns, to lose the next one was an earthquake. Skunk Works doesn't lose fighter competitions, until suddenly it did. We don't have the classified scorecards. But the picture that's emerged points to a few things. Boeing reportedly poured its own money into new digital design tools and flew a 6th-gen demonstrator of its own. It built capability ahead of the win instead of waiting for it. And it may simply have brought the Air Force the stronger technical bid and the better deal at the exact moment affordability decided everything. There's also a strategic angle the Pentagon rarely says out loud. Give Lockheed the F-22, the F-35, and NGAD, and you've handed a single company every frontline fighter the nation flies. That's a monopoly on air power. Keeping Boeing in the fighter game isn't charity. It's industrial insurance. A superpower needs more than one company that can build a stealth fighter at all. And right now, Those are the only two left who've ever done it. Here's what most people miss about Boeing. The half of the company that builds fighters was quietly dying. In St. Louis, Missouri, Boeing builds the F/A-18 Super Hornet and the F-15EX Eagle II. The Super Hornet line, the backbone of the Navy's carrier decks for a generation, was winding down toward its final jets, with no new orders behind them. That left the F-15EX, a superb aircraft, but a fundamentally 1970s design, as the last fighter holding the line open. And when a fighter line closes, you don't just lose a product. You lose the engineers, the tooling, the suppliers, the hard-won knowledge of how to build a fighter at all. Once that workforce scatters, you cannot simply hire it back a decade later. Boeing has been a fighter maker since it absorbed McDonnell Douglas in 1997, inheriting the bloodline of the F-4 Phantom, the F-15 Eagle, the F/A-18 Hornet. That heritage is real. But heritage doesn't pay payroll if the lines go cold. Without a next-generation program, Boeing was on a glide path to leave the frontline fighter business entirely within 10 years. The F-47 reversed that overnight. One contract locks in a fighter franchise into the 2070s. Design, production, upgrades, decades of sustainment. It keeps thousands of engineers employed and the St. Louis combat aircraft business alive. That's why this win landed so much harder than a headline. It wasn't a project, it was a resurrection, but a resurrection with a catch. And the catch is the same trap that nearly killed Boeing in the first place. Now we reach the risk that keeps Boeing executives awake at night. Remember those $8 billion in losses? Almost every one of them traces back to a single poisonous phrase, fixed price contract. Here's the difference, and it matters enormously. In a cost-plus contract, the government reimburses the contractor's costs and adds a fee. So when a bleeding-edge program runs over, and they always run over, the government shares the pain. In a fixed-price contract, the contractor names a number upfront and eats every dollar above it. For building something routine, that's fine. For first-of-its-kind technology, it's a landmine. Boeing stepped on that landmine over and over. It bid aggressively low yonder fixed price to win on the tanker, the trainer, Air Force One. Then it absorbed billions when reality cost more than the promise. That pattern nearly broke the entire defense division. So the obvious, brutal question for the F-47 is this: did Boeing just sign up to do it all again on the most complex jet ever attempted? And here's the detail that changes everything. Reporting indicates the F-47's development deal was structured as cost plus, not fixed price. If that holds, it means both sides finally learned the lesson. The Air Force is sharing the development risk this time, specifically so the program doesn't become another KC-46. One contractual choice, invisible from the outside, may be the single biggest factor in whether the F-47 and Boeing actually survive the decade. Think about what that signals. The customer wanted Boeing to win badly enough to protect it from its own worst habit. That's not a detail. That's the Air Force quietly admitting it can't afford to let this contractor fail. So what does Boeing do with a lifeline? It builds. In St. Louis, Boeing has been raising a brand new advanced manufacturing complex, purpose-built for the F-47 and the next era of combat aircraft. New buildings, new tooling, a workforce being trained right now for a jet that's still classified. This is Boeing pushing its own chips to the center of the table. You don't pour billions into concrete and machinery for a program you expect to lose. The factory is a statement of confidence and a point of no return. Once the plant is up and the people are hired, you are committed. There is no quiet exit, no graceful retreat. It also redraws the map. The F-47 anchors thousands of high-skilled jobs in Missouri for decades, ripples out through a supply chain across dozens of states, and rebuilds the industrial muscle America would need to mass-produce fighters in a real crisis. This is the piece politicians care about as much as the stealth. A fighter program is also a jobs program and a strategic asset in its own right. But here's the contrast that keeps us honest. A shiny new factory does not guarantee a good jet. Boeing built gorgeous facilities for the 787 Dreamliner and still stumbled badly on quality and delays. The plant proves commitment. It does not prove execution. And execution is exactly what's now being measured against not one deadline, but two at once. Because Boeing isn't racing one clock, it's racing two simultaneously, and they pull in opposite directions. The first clock is China. The day after Christmas in 2024, China flew two sixth-generation demonstrators. The jets analysts call the J-36 and the J-50, openly in daylight, for the whole world to photograph. The Pentagon's target for the F-47 first flight before 2028 is set by that threat. Boeing has to move fast because the entire purpose of the F-47 is to stay ahead of Beijing. The second clock is financial, and it pulls the other way. After years of losses, Boeing cannot afford another program that blows its budget, and on a bleeding-edge fighter, moving fast and spending carefully are natural enemies. Rush, and you invite the overruns that nearly killed the company. Go slow and cautious, and you risk losing the race to China. Boeing has to thread both needles at the same time with the whole world watching, and the stakes compound. The F-47 was funded partly by squeezing the Navy's own 6th-gen fighter, the F/A-XX. So the Air Force, the Navy, Congress, and Boeing's own shareholders are all staring at the same milestones. First EMD aircraft, the first flight, the first real sign of cost discipline. Every milestone is a referendum on whether the bet is paying off. Put it all together and you see why this is the highest stakes program in aerospace. It isn't just whether a jet flies, it's whether a wounded American giant can still do the single hardest thing it does. On time, on budget, against a rival that refuses to wait. So let's answer it. Did Boeing bet right? Here's the honest read. On paper, this is the best possible hand the company could be dealt. A franchise into the 2070s. A development contract reportedly built to avoid the fixed-price trap that burned it. A new factory, a saved workforce, and a second chance to prove the name still means something. If you're Boeing, there is no better outcome, but best possible hand and guaranteed win are not the same thing. The company holding this lifeline is the same one that fumbled the tanker, the trainer, and Air Force One. The talent and the heritage are real. So is the recent record. The F-47 is, at the same moment, Boeing's salvation and its single biggest point of failure. And both are true at once. Here's what I'll be watching, and what you should watch too. Forget the speed rumors and the hype renders. 3 signals tell you whether this bet is working. 1. Does the first EMD aircraft fly on or near schedule? 2. Do the cost reports stay disciplined, or do the old overruns creep back in? 3. Does Boeing hold its key engineering talent or bleed it to rivals? Schedule, cost, talent. Those 3 decide everything, and it raises a bigger question worth arguing about. America just made a deliberate choice to keep 2 fighter makers alive rather than let Lockheed run the table. Was that the right call? Accepting more risk to preserve competition? Or should the most important fighter of the century have gone to the safest pair of hands? There's a real case on both sides, and your answer probably depends on how much you trust Boeing to change. For what it's worth, here's my read. The contract structure is the tell. By reportedly going cost-plus, the Air Force signaled it would rather share the risk than watch another Boeing program collapse under a lowball bid. That's not blind faith. It's a calculated bet that a cornered, rebuilt Boeing will fight hardest exactly when its own survival is on the line. We've chased the speed and the stealth on this channel. Next, I want to follow the engine, the adaptive cycle power plant that decides whether any of this flies on time, and the one piece even Boeing can't fully control. Until then, tell me in the comments, would you have bet the most important fighter in 50 years on Boeing, or played it safe with Lockheed? I'll see you in the next one.